I'm a makeup artist, hairdresser for the ABC, and I have a full-time employment there, and I've been there for almost 6 years.
Today I bring you an exclusive interview with a full-time ABC employee that dared have a wrong opinion about coronavirus at work. Sylvia Shamoun did nothing illegal and even complied with all of the ABC's internal COVID rules, even when they contradicted the chief health officer's directions. But her personal opinion that the government was overstepping the mark in their response to the virus was too much for the state broadcaster, that they bullied her out of employment. I sat down with Sylvia and her lawyer, who is fighting her case in federal court.
Quite frankly, she stood up, she's actually voiced an opinion, which is what I thought the ABC was about, and they've said, no, we don't like it, shut up, this is how we're going to do it.
After interviewing the pair, Sylvia was headed to ABC HQ to collect her belongings, so I wired her up with the hidden camera for her own protection.
You're back. Yeah. Am I? I just need someone to get me into the makeup department so I can get my stuff out of my lockup. Hey.
Hello.
Hiya.
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
What are you doing here?
So just before we get into the interview, I want to show you something that just arrived from rebelstore.com.au. It's exciting stuff. I've been waiting a couple days for it. Oh my God, look at this, check it out. Oh, let's try this on. Tell me that doesn't go with my shirt. rebelstore.com.au. You can look as good as me right now and support your favorite news site. In the early days of COVID, Sylvia's bosses at ABC implemented a precautionary mask mandate. The problem is that there weren't very many masks around at the time, and the government and also the ABC were urging people to leave masks for the frontline workers only. So when they implemented their mandatory masks, they issued all staff like Sylvia with one disposable mask.
I was advised to spray them down with alcohol and let them air dry after every use and leave it for the next day.
That's bloody disgusting. All in the name of health, of course, until Sylvia got very sick.
I stayed in hospital for 4 days, and they had told me from the emergency department that if I had waited any longer that they wouldn't have been able to help me, and I was pretty severely unwell.
Sylvia's doctor told her that she believed reusing the mask after spraying it led to her sepsis that almost killed her. But before the ABC's ridiculous policy hospitalised Sylvia, she'd got into a little conversation with another ABC makeup artist. They discussed the government's response to coronavirus, and imagine my shock, it turns out that Sylvia had the wrong opinion for her place of employment.
So I was basically told, don't discuss COVID with anyone, and I said then, okay, but it's very difficult for me to do that because we're working one-on-one and the TV's running all day long, conferences are all day long with Daniel Andrews, and you know, even trying to have a general conversation, hi, how you going? It was, oh yeah, okay, but did you see the death today? Or so it's very hard. How do you stop a conversation?
She was banned from discussing the one issue that everyone was talking about at the time. But because she was hospitalised, the ban didn't actually mean very much. Sylvia then spent weeks recovering, and when she finally did return back to work, she was spoken to about her offensive behaviour before getting sick.
The feedback was that I have a very strong personality, I rule the room type of personality, which could be offensive to others, and I've never ever heard that before. Never had an issue with the ABC like that in any way, shape or form. I've worked with these presenters for years, never had that issue come up. Anyway, I didn't understand the context of what my manager was saying, and she was very cryptic in the way she was saying things. Anyway, but she said to me, don't worry about it, it was just something I had to let you know of. okay, cool, I won't worry about it.
You probably know it. Sylvia's mistake right there was not worrying about it, because as many of us know, the moment the ABC describes you as offensive, it's only heading one way.
Then there was talks in the community that we were going to have the stage 4 lockdowns, and that we were going to, in the community, having to wear the masks. Now, because I actually told my manager on that conversation in the appraisal that this is what had happened to me with the sepsis, and that I am concerned about me wearing the masks. I don't feel comfortable with them. When I read the exemptions and what was required to wear a mask in the community, it was a scarf, a snood, a face shield, a surgical mask, or a homemade mask. And so I thought, oh, okay, well, I can wear a face shield, because then it still creates that barrier. I can breathe, and I'm not going to be so worried about my health. And so I went to work wearing a face shield the week that it came in. It was the first day that it came in, which is like the 3rd or 4th of August. I went back into work, wore the face shield. I had questions from some of the presenters. No one was in a bad way about it. They were just like more intrigued about it. And so they knew it was legal, because they knew the
They were
policies.
reporting on it.
That's right. And so no one had an issue.
Yep.
And went back to work on the Monday and saw my management. No one said anything. Everyone was fine. I then had a week and a half off and got a phone call on the Friday before I had to do another shift on a Sunday. That was almost 2 weeks after. And my manager called me to ask me that she needed to have a formal conversation with me about me bringing in the face shield to work. And
This is while it was still legal at the time.
Yep. This is at the 17th of August. This is 14th of August. This conversation was
While
held.
it was still legal,
Yep.
and after everything
It
you
was only
went
2 weeks in.
after everything you went through, because you complied with their
directions.
their
as well as
crazy
work.
directions at work.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But that wasn't it. Not only were they questioning her legal face shield, they also had an additional complaint.
We also have had feedback about you talking about COVID again. And I said, well, can you tell me who the conversation was, with who, when, what time? And she said, no, I can't do that for confidentiality, but this is the feedback that I've got, and I have to give you the feedback.
An anonymous tip that you've had the wrong opinion again, but even the ABC know that you can't brazenly sack someone based on their opinion. They needed an excuse.
The conversation then went to, are you not afraid of going into the community without a face mask on? And I said, no, because I have a lawful excuse not to. And then she then asked me, but you'll get a fine. And I said, well, why do you think I'm going to get a fine if I have a lawful excuse? So I didn't at the time understand, but I was getting to the point where I was like, oh, this doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right. Yeah.
And so again, like that same situation of policing each other, what I do in the community does not affect what I'm doing at work. I'm complying with everything that you've told me. You know, I don't understand where this feedback is coming.
So while you didn't actually legally have to be wearing any face covering
Yes,
at all,
I
you
did
still
anyway.
did at ABC wear
Yes.
the face shield, which was still the legal
Yeah.
thing outside, even if you had no exemption.
That's right.
So you went above and beyond.
I would, yes, because I knew how anxious everybody was, and I thought, well, you know, when people see that physical barrier, they feel a lot more comfortable. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll do that, and it should be fine. And then my manager said, okay, well, what we're going to do is I've got to do this risk assessment on the face shield. Are you going to be able to wear the face mask when you're working in front of the presenter, and wear your face shield when no one else is around?
Think about it. She just survived sepsis caused by their dangerous mask policy that went against the chief health officer's directions at the time, and now they dare to demand she again go against the chief health officer's directives because for some reason ABC policy trumps the official medical advice. But it gets worse. After some back and forth, they gave Sylvia an ultimatum. Screw your sickness that we caused and refused to apologise for. Forget the CHO directions. Wear a mask full time or you're out.
They've just taken me off the roster completely and told me that I'm just no longer working.
That was the end of it.
That was it. And so I
How
tried
many years?
Almost 6.
Because you have a different opinion on COVID,
Mm.
one that probably a vast
Majority
of
Yeah.
the community now agrees
Yes,
with.
yes, yeah, yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Pretty sad because you work a lot and you take on a lot and it's like a family, so you can't just forget that.
Make no mistake, the mask was just an excuse to rid the ABC of someone who dares have a different opinion. Sylvia didn't break any laws or directions. In fact, she went above and beyond to try please the ABC gods. And now, after 6 years working for him, they've discarded her like a used rag.
I haven't been paid now since September.
Wow. How are you doing?
Okay.
You're surviving.
Yeah, I'm surviving.
Surviving is one thing, but it's not something you should ever settle for. And Sylvia isn't. She's taking the Australian broadcaster to federal court.
Standing someone down without pay is wrong. I don't care whether you like her or not, you've got to go through the process. She has done nothing illegal. She's just voiced an opinion. She's obviously had an issue. She's tried to be reasonable with the ABC, and she's got done for it. And I cannot believe the ABC of all stations and major media channels are the ones doing it.
I can. The ABC in the media landscape would position themselves as an organisation that stands strongly and firmly against bullying.
Yes.
In fact, they would consider people like us at Rebel News as big evil bullies.
Yes.
What would you say to that now?
I just feel that it's very obvious if you don't comply, you're just not one of them, and it's really disappointing.
So they preach tolerance, but
Yeah.
they don't participate in it.
No, not from what I could see now. Yeah, yeah.
It's going to expose, I guess you could say, their ineptness in other areas potentially, and that's why this can hurt them. Because this is their reaction to COVID, but how do we not know there's an underlying systemic issue or failure at play? And if that is there, their evidence is going to cover that. Sylvia's evidence is going to cover our side, and then obviously we have other players who are in the ABC who are going to have to come out at some point as well. I think this is going to bring a lot of information to the surface, which the ABC wouldn't want. They might be playing hardball now, but once things start coming out, once the truth starts coming out, players change very quickly.
I look forward to seeing what this case brings out. If you want to help Sylvia fund her fight against the ABC, there's a link to her personal crowdfunding page, meaning it's not a Rebel campaign, in the rebelnews.com.au article that's associated to this story. Either way, I promise you one thing, we'll keep you posted with what happens. If you think this report is as essential as I do, make sure to like, comment, and share, because most of the mainstream media will avoid her story to protect their friends at the ABC. And then head over to rebelstore.com.au and get yourself some of the new merch in support of your favorite news source.